Stormtrooper twice lined up in rows. Let's go! Reviewing each one with the passion it shows. It's so plastic to metal, he knows them so well. Stormtrooper swagger, his story to tell. Tune in for Bert, he's the toy expert. Let's go! From action to arcade.
Hello and welcome, I'm Bert the Stormtrooper, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Masters of the Universe Evil Horde MANTISAUR, and I love this toy. Now this is another one of the vehicles or creatures, could fall under either, you decide, but this is another one of those that I did not have as a kid in my original Masters collection. Recently picked this one up, super excited about it. So let's get it over to the table and let's go check it out.
From the hideous corridors of the Fright Zone come Hordak's Agents of Evil. Dragstore, part evil warrior, part deadly vehicle, the demon of speed. Multibot multiplies and retakes 22 movable parts, making for multiple terror. Horde Trooper, the mindless robotic enforcer, he's cracking up. Mantisaur, the gruesome insectoid steed. Hordak rides him through anything. You can complete your evil horde with this gang of destruction, each sold separately. And remember, you can get King Randor free when you buy any 3 Masters of the Universe figures.
And here we have the Mantisaur looking absolutely awesome and menacing. Originally released in 1986, it retailed for approximately $8, and it's still mind-blowing to me finding out how cheap some of these toys were back then. I just didn't remember. That is so cool. So what's the Mantisaur all about? So, well, He-Man got the Battle Cat, and Skeletor got Panther. So what did Hordak get? Hordak needed a steed, if you will, and this is what Hordak got. What better kind of a mount for Hordak than a giant mechanical praying mantis? That thing is in the colors of Hordak, which is very cool. Now, of course, the Mantisaur did make a cartoon appearance. It was completely different. The one that showed up in the cartoon for the one episode was completely organic. It didn't have any mechanical attributes to it, and it was completely green. I kind of prefer the toy version. It's one of the few times when I actually prefer the toy version over the cartoon version, because this really feels like it belongs with Hordak, right? It's kind of that techno-organic kind of a thing. It's a giant robotic insect, and all of the colors match. You got your grays, your blacks, and your reds, just like Hordak. So it looks like it belongs with the Evil Horde, and I absolutely adore it. Now, this thing is also pretty massive, and you know, again, I keep saying this, I keep finding out about this with some of these toys that I never had. As I'm getting them now, I'm finding out that they were much bigger than I ever thought they were when I was a kid. I would see pictures of these, and I would see the box art, and I would think, that's not so big. Getting them now, yeah, they're a lot bigger than I thought. So the Mantisaur here measures approximately 13 inches from the tail all the way to the front of the claws right there. Looking at about 11 if you go from tail to head. And then we've got approximately 9 inches in height. Now, one of the things you also have to consider is the width because of the way the legs are. So it's pretty wide as well. We're looking at about 7.5, almost 8 inches in width, which is, again, pretty sizable vehicle, creature, mount, what have you. Very cool. And just taking a good close look here at the Mantisaur. Again, it's a giant praying mantis. It's a robotic or mechanical praying mantis, and you can see right here on the back of the body right there. I'm not an expert in insects, so I'm probably going to get a lot of these terms incorrect. So I'm just going to call this the body. But if you look at the body, you can see plates and rivets right there. Very cool. So is this an organic giant praying mantis that's wearing armor, or is it a robotic creature, techno-organic? I don't know. What do you think, right? But very cool detail right there. You got plates, you got rivets, you got that saddle right there in red. You have a gun mounted to the back of the creature, which is very cool. Very easily lost, so if you're looking for one of these, make sure you look for that. Taking a look at the legs, again, it looks like armor plating right here on the legs. They're done in black, and you got a lot of plates and rivets and a lot of little mechanical details right there. Then you get down here to the arms. These are done in gray with some red details. And again, you got a completely mechanical arm right here and more armor plating along the sides. Very cool. And then you got that head. Awesome, menacing, done in red with those big black eyes just staring down at you. That thing looks menacing. You know, if this thing grabs you, it's going to mess you up. So what can this do besides, be a mount for Hordak? It does have some articulation. So the head can turn side to side right there. And then the legs, you can also move them up and down a little bit to kind of pose them around. So you can kind of get them, squatting down or standing up or what have you. But I think the most important, and of course, yeah, the gun can also rotate. But I think the most important bit of articulation is right here for the arms. And I love the way they did this. So they have these kind of like these handles for your, where you would imagine your figure would hold them. But these also work as handles for playing with it right there. So the way this works is, you see the way that they're molded is this is actually meant to capture some of your characters, whether they be villains or they be heroes. Of course, as we remember, the Hordak was against everyone. So the way this works is that you can come up to the figure and then you can actually pick it up. And you can, pick them up and carry them away, or you can pick them up and try to eat them like that, which is actually very, very cool, very menacing. When you think about praying mantises are kind of scary. It's a good thing they aren't giants. You can also just kind of thrash them around a bit, and you do that to them, beat them around a little bit first, and then you can eat them. Very, very, very cool right there. So there's He-Man right there. And of course, we got the saddle right here. So let's get Hordak mounted on Mantisaur right here. So you got the nice saddle right there. You've also got these stirrups down here with these little straps. And you're going to want to be careful with those. This is just plastic on plastic and it bends over time. You can see there's a lot of stress marks on mine. So I like to be very, very careful when I'm mounting my Hordak on my Mantisaur, because I do not want that saddle to snap. It's just, I would be a sad person if I did that. So we'll just get him mounted right there very carefully. And then I'll put the cape right there, just behind the saddle, but in front of the gun. And there you go. There is Hordak now mounted on Mantisaur and ready to go to battle and capture some foes and maybe try to eat them, which is absolutely awesome. Or you can, of course, also have him actually holding the handles just like that. Very, very cool. Now, for comparison, we did compare this to Battle Cat and Panther. So let's take a look at Mantisaur next to Panther so we can see what they look like together. And of course, Mantisaur just towers over Skeletor's mount, and of course, being the same mold, it's going to tower over Battle Cat. So very cool, very big, very, very menacing figure. Absolutely love it. I am so very excited to finally add this guy to my collection. And again, this is an excellent addition to any Masters of the Universe collection, whether you are collecting vintage or you are collecting origins. Again, this is something that I keep bringing up. A lot of these vehicles, creatures, and mounts have not been, let's call it, reissued for the origins line. You can get the originals, you can get the vintage ones, and they integrate perfectly and seamlessly into the origins line. So yeah, if you're collecting either, whether it be vintage or origins, this is an excellent addition to your Masters of the Universe collection. And I think that about does it for the 1986 Masters of the Universe Evil Horde Mantisaur. What do you think of this figure? Let me know down in the comments. Give me some thumbs up, like, subscribe, and share with your friends if you like what you see. As always, thank you so very much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.
The best displayed fun never ends with our toy-loving friend. Burst the one we know, bringing every show.